You may not have asked for what's about to follow, but if you did, then it's on you. It turns out some people have long wondered, well, what bikes have I got? I don't mind doing this that I'm about to do, which is give you a tour of them, because I have never got all of my two-wheel toys out at once in one place and looked at them. So what I'm going to do now, bear with me, is talk you through them. Welcome to a tour of my motorcycle collection. Sorry neighbours. This is probably not a good way to kick off a video on Drive Tribe where we're dynamic and fast moving. I'm going to say, I hope you've got a cup of tea handy and maybe a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. But let me talk you through each of these and why I have them. Well, maybe not each of them, some of them. I'm going to start here, the sort of BMW corner. This is an R90S from mid-70s, and it's ugly and gawky. When I was a kid, I had a model of a police bike of the same sort of era, and I loved it because of this boxer engine, these air-cooled twins that stick out. And that, back in '76, was the business. It was the needs to be a fast bike competing with the fast chaps. By contrast, this old truck is kind of the least collectible of everything here. It's my BMW RT. It's just a truck. I use this to go to and from London. It has cruise control and a top box. They're not cool, they don't impress people, but I love it. Before we move further through BMWs, this is going to be a mess. Over there is a Kawasaki ZXR 750. When I was a kid, 16, riding around on my little moped, me and my mate Ian used to go to Mixtiano's Kawasaki in Harrogate, and we would look at these and just dream, because it had these, like Hoover pipes, air intakes. Air goes in here, over there, and down into the carburetors below, slurping away to make power. This was the business. By modern standards, unbelievably crude, but this is where bikes, just the same as cars, you look at a car of your era, if you're my age, and it sets the heart racing. That does the job for me. This rather sorry looking thing is a KR1S. It differs from most of the bikes here. It's a two-stroke, which means below 7,000 RPM, it's only 250cc, below 7,000 RPM, you think it's broken. And then suddenly it comes on the power band, the valves open, and it goes absolutely berserk. Works a bit like a 1990s Porsche 911 Turbo. None of the power, all of the power. The reason it's got no bodywork on it is I took it into a workshop a while ago. It rhymes with tallest dog, and I dropped off all the tank and the panels to be painted, and we haven't got round to it yet. One more off this side as we move up. Every one of these has a reason to be here. This, Norton. This is an original race bike. This was raced. These are John Tickle parts up front. Again, not fast by modern standards. This was raced. I have pictures of it racing in Pier in the 50s, and it's a little rocket, and it's a featherbed frame. So this isn't the original Norton frame. It was rebuilt onto this frame, and that was all about giving it extra stiffness and lightness, even way back then, decades ago. And it feels like a thoroughbred. There's a couple of these bikes that do have that thoroughbred special feeling. Back to BMW world over here. This is the 30-odd-year-old version of that. I've always had a soft spot for these because they're, well, look, I'm going to sit on it and you look like it. I mean, they're Wally-ish, bolt upright, big screen. But this was when the Germans showed us how to make a bike for touring that isn't styled to be exciting, certainly not by modern standards, but God, it worked. I've got this one, even in this somewhat suspect colour, because it was through a friend of a friend. It's 30-odd years old, and it's done a total of 4,500 miles. He was obliged to sell it. He was getting on a bit for riding it, and I thought, well, yeah, I'll take that on. My ambition for this one day is to take it on a tour. I just loved even bikers don't like this bike, but I love it. I had another one of these that had done 180,000 miles, and that on a bike is phenomenal. Then we get really old, still with BMW. This is 1929. Note the same boxer, the same flat twin. There's something about boxer configuration engines that I just adore, the way the pistons work opposite one another. Has a completely different effect on the crank. and you find the same configuration of engine in a 911. Maybe that's why I love those. The difference between this and a contemporary, hate to say it, English, British bike is phenomenal. I had a 29 Sunbeam of the same era, and it was like operating a Victorian printing press whilst riding a motorcycle. Everything was complex and different. You had to light the lights with a match. This, though, it's just a motorbike. And now I'm going to risk everything by seeing if it'll start. I mean, it probably will. It's pretty reliable. One of these does mixture, and one of these does ignition. I'm going to put them both in the middle and see if it will play ball. Let's see if it's in gear. Note shaft drive. Unreal. Right, let's just fuel on. I think that's on. Give it a bit of a tickle. What I'm doing now is putting fuel into the float bowl. I'm putting stale fuel into the float bowl, let's be honest. Oh, hello, it kicked back. That's a good sign. Oh, it kicked back again. I think it's a good chance this will start. No, it's now flooded. And honestly, that's not bad. Now you could, and I'm not going to, set off and ride the length of the country on that. It will just go on forever. They were so beautifully made. That's another bike I've had many years and shall never get rid of. We're talking about old bikes. Brough Superior, often called the Rolls-Royce of motorcycles. Lawrence of Arabia rode one. He was also killed on one. That's good. This is the SS80, guaranteed to do 80 miles an hour. There was an SS100, guaranteed to do 100 miles an hour. This is in the 1920s, bear in mind. Brough as a manufacturer, they didn't make everything. They made the frames, but then the engine, they were either Jap or matchless engines. But all George Brough did was go and get all the very, very best possible parts, the forks, everything, and assemble them into one motorcycle. They cost as much as a row of normal houses in their day. They were incredible devices. I could try and start, I'm going to try and start it. Again, we've got to advance, we've got to retard the ignition and enrichen the mixture, then fuel on. I'm not guaranteeing success here. Tickle it up. Oh, that's already well tickled up. I might turn the fuel off again. Okay, well, let's check it's not in gear. If you've just joined, yes, I am talking you through all of my motorcycles, and that's because some people asked for it, and I'm sorry for those who didn't. Right, minimal chance this could work, but you never know. Oh, dead as I don't know what. This is like joining me on any weekend. It's what I do. That is completely... I'll come back to this one. Over here, still with originally British bikes actually, Royal Enfield, but now Indian owned. I have this one because at the smallest cog we were asked to restore this, the new version of the Interceptor, which is the Royal Enfield's most famous motorcycle. And kept it because look at it. It's just pretty. It's just the essence of bike. No plastic fairings, no crazy out there styling. It's just some bike. That is two-wheel transport. This, by contrast, Suzuki Katana. Now we're getting into bedroom wall poster territory. As a kid, this was just, I mean, it's hard, if you're not into bikes and you haven't looked at them all of your life since you were 5, this probably doesn't do the same for you as it does for me, but the styling of this, when it first arrived, blew us all away. I don't know how many motorcycle magazines were sold on the back of this bike, but it will have been a lot. It's not a particularly special bike underneath. Fairly standard cradle frame, 4-cylinder inline engine, transversely mounted. Didn't do anything technically brilliant, but look at it. It looked like the future. I'm going to finish with Suzuki's before I move over there, because this, Suzuki GSXR 1100, this was the end of the capacity race, when everybody thought bigger was better, before little mid-weight sports bikes, 600s, even really existed. The only answer was more cubes for more power. And this was the end of it. This is when they got as big as they got, 1100. And in 92, I'm thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, around about that, I was riding on my little 125, I think, pulled into a petrol station and one of these was there. And me and again, my mate Ian just looked and were dazzled. Wonder if it'll start. No, it won't. Hang on. No. Oh, that's why, hang on. Oh! Carburetors. Let it warm a minute. Again, by modern standards, it's clunky and slow, but in the day... Oh, are we firing on all four? No, not yet. That's going to take a while to warm through. That was... And double headlamps, admittedly behind one screen, unlike the ZXR that actually had two eyes. When that first arrived, we were blown away. I guess the thing about bikes, there's not much of them, unlike cars. So in terms of styling, the designers didn't have a very big canvas. You've only got the tank, the fairings and the tail that really give it its shape and its look. So they have to work that much harder to make it distinctive with only so many parts to play with. And this has a sort of blunt, broad-shouldered, flat-tanked aggression to it. And that's a link because, well, styling, you've got to go Italian, haven't you? Which means you've got to go Ducati. Absolute game changers. Started with this, the 916. Amazing story of how it came about, Tamburini designed, and just blew us all away. Nothing had ever looked like this. It is, you don't have to be into bikes to look at that and think, that is pretty. And it just is, but it was also functional. By now, upside down forks where the stanchion houses, they're the other way up, like that, were fairly standard, but it's just, it had all the little signals that we looked for back in the day. Single-sided swinging arm. So you have the rear wheel, instead of two spars holding it in, you only have one. Saves weight and just looks really cool. I've got two because this one is the Carl Fogarty, the SPS limited edition. This is number, I haven't got my glasses on, number 114, and I think they made under 200 of them. It's basically this, but with more of a race-derived, slightly larger capacity engine, carbon fibre bits on it, and it's just drizzled with extra anger because it's always cross. I wonder if the battery on these things is about this big, so you've only ever got one chance to start it, and then it'll be flat. Let's just see.
I'm not worried about this Ducati not starting. Even though these bikes sit around for months on end, a dead battery is something Richard doesn't need to worry about. This is where the C-Tech CS1 comes into play. It is an adaptive smart charger. No settings, no fuss. It automatically figures out what type of battery it needs to charge. Even after weeks of sitting idle in the barn, the CS1 ensures that the bikes start first time every time. It keeps batteries healthy and prevents wear from long-term storage. Ideally, you'd keep each bike on its own charger, but the beauty of the CS1 is its flexibility. You can move it easily between bikes and even use it on your car because it automatically adapts to each battery. That is a peace of mind that the CS1 gives you. Reliable batteries, ready bikes. Check it out in the link below.
Hang on. Ooh, fuel pump. This may or may not start. If it doesn't start first time I've had it. It is terrifying. Dry sump clutch, you can hear it. Dagga, dagga, dagga. If I pull it in, that noise goes away. How Carl Fogarty raced that. There's no traction control, nothing interfering between you twisting that and that throwing you up a tree. The only problem with that bike is take it out on a Sunday morning, everywhere if I pull up a set of traffic lights, there's somebody next to me on anything, they are immediately hunkered down, right, here we go, and I just want to go out for a little ride. Sticking with Italians and with Ducati, this 900 SS, in a way, the origins of these two. It's a long-legged thoroughbred. I made a film about it on Drive Tribe years ago. Took it out on a Sunday morning and it broke down. It's Italian. Back to British briefly. This is an OK Supreme. It's a very early 30s. It's actually a race bike. It's a Jap engine, but a single cylinder. That may or may not mean anything to you, but it's interesting. And this was a race bike, and it was owned by a Spitfire pilot. I have letters from him back to his camp, but then he died in his Spitfire. But his bike survived, and here it is. It's kind of, just to ride, it feels more like a modern dirt bike, but in its day it was a proper race bike. I can also see it's a proper British bike because it has a massive oil leak. Yeah, if there's none coming out, there's none in. Let's have a trot through some Triumphs. This, you may be familiar if you've watched my workshop show, is the custom build that I've been building, and it's not finished, but I did paint the tank myself. And you get into Triumph territory and it's full of myth and mystique and wonder. I didn't grow up with these bikes. I was born in '69. These bikes predate me, but they still were around. They were still on the road. And this is the Trophy, which is broadly the same as this, the legendary Bonneville. The difference is this has a single carburettor and is easier to maintain and run and operate, which is why Steve McQueen chose these as his desert sled rather than these, which are marginally more powerful and a bit quicker on the road, but a bit more complicated. This is just a gorgeous thing to ride. Riding a piece of history. That's its elder, smaller relative that, I'll be honest, is another project bike. I'm going to get to it one day. We're nearly there. I'm going to go back over here because we're kind of hybridizing between Japan and Britain. It's a British-made frame, Seeley. He was a famous racer, is a famous racer, but with Honda CB 750 running gear. This should, if I put 10 feels under here, should play ball and run. And the lovely thing about the noise this bike makes, from that muffled exhaust, you can hear the carbs. Sorry, neighbours. You either feel that or you don't. And I do. Going back Japanese again, another bike I've got because I had a poster of one on my bedroom wall, Honda CBX 1000. It is, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 6-cylinder motorcycle, which when I was a kid and I had 1 cylinder, 6, and it's transverse. So standing here, it's like a wall of motorcycle engine comes towards you. Had this years, and interestingly, the first day I bought it, I went to ride it home from London, pulled out onto the main road, it stalled and started to go over, and it weighs, I think it's 3.5 tons, and my right leg locked out because I just thought, no, it's not going over. I will not let that happen, and I didn't. My leg still hurts. It's like a turbine now when it's running. Glorious. This is an SS50 minus its tank that's it's at that same workshop waiting to be repainted. It was actually rebuilt for me by the Lucases, and I got it because every now and again you need a reminder of your youth, and for me there is a bit of me that will forever be 16 years old on a 49cc motorcycle feeling like he's king of the world and the best of the best. So once I get the tank back on this, if you do see me pootling around the Herefordshire lanes on this, yes, I'll look ridiculous, but know that inside I will be filled with joy and happy as I can possibly be. Nearly at the end now, one more Japanese bike to show you, which is a Yamaha FZR 750. It's the rare one, yada, yada, yada. I got it because look, if you weren't around then, it doesn't mean anything to you, but to me, that is an era and it still looks good today. And then we get to the end. We're ending with American bikes. I don't have any Harleys currently, though I've had many. This is an Indian, 1946, Big Chief. I mean, look at the Art Deco styling on it. It's just, the only thing with this bike, everything's in the wrong place. If you ride, you'll know why this is all wrong. When it was new, throttle was left hand. Your right hand adjusted and advanced and retarded the ignition. Then your right foot did the brake. Your left hand did the gears, and your left foot the clutch. So when I said earlier it was like operating a Victorian printing press whilst riding a motorcycle, mates of mine have sat on this, we've got it running and they've pulled away using the foot clutch and the hand gear, and that's fine, but then they're moving. And then there's just screams of laughter and terror as they think at some point I'm going to have to stop. And I did once in London on Chiswick High Road in my car, see a chap pull up alongside me on one of these, exactly this bike. And I leant across and said, have you left the controls originally? Yeah. And he was riding it through London traffic and he got a salute. And then finally another Indian, FTR, the one I rode in on today. It's probably the one you're most likely to see me on at the moment because, well, for me, I don't think they make it anymore. FTR 1200, carbon edition. It kind of brings together so much of what I love about these bikes. I mean, it's cool. The styling I love. And it looks cruisery, like a lot of my bikes do, but unlike most cruisers, this thing works. It's actually a little bit naughty. So the only downside of this bike is a tiny tank range. Range anxiety on a motorcycle. After about 150 miles, you're going to be refilling it. But to be honest, that's a good thing because it does encourage the hooligan in a person. So after 100 miles, you're ready for a little bit of a rest and calm down. But that's the bike I'll be taking home today. That concludes the lengthy, requested tour of my motorcycles. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did and you want to see more two-wheel stuff, you can click here to watch a video of me riding my very, very first motorcycle from very nearly 40 years ago. If you've had enough of two wheels for now, you can get back on four wheels by clicking here to see a tour of my cars. Either way, hope you enjoy.